Welcome back. We'll continue our conversation with Mr. Robert Clarke, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, about what to do and how we're proceeding with the 1999 Constitution. But the thing is, year in, year out, Nigerians always talk about what we'd like to be done, how we think the National Assembly, or even the executive, even the judiciary. But the thing is, it looks as if we're not just ready to tell ourselves the truth and take that step and ask ourselves that question, how should we proceed? Why do you think that that is the case?
Well, corruption is the bane of this country. The common man can easily be, seduced by money. If you have a leader within a community that is very vocal and strong, the politician will go to him. They bribe him. He changes his tone. So that you won't find people speaking out. Before this program started, I told you, I castigated you young ones, that you are not talking. You are not talking. Let me give you an example. By the end of June this year, if nothing is done, what is happening in the Delta, the federal government will financially collapse. Because, as I said, 75% of our revenue at 2.2 million barrels a day goes to sustain governance. Now we are producing about 55 or 60% of oil, and we are maintaining the same. The National Assembly, I was told, the Speaker told them, oh, we are buying you Peugeot cars. And they said, no, we want, the jeeps. The executive are driving, the minister is doing. That is the mentality. But the mentality will become a reality. If at the end of June, they can't finish negotiating with these boys, the government will come down. There will be no money. So we need people, young boys now. Look what is happening in Venezuela. People are now on the streets. And if we don't take time in Nigeria, when government is shut down by lack of funds, people will move into the street.
But at the moment, it does appear that a lot of people are blinded by this political affiliation. So, because the thing about it is that, look, if unemployment and lack of funds doesn't recognize any political party, poverty is poverty. But we seem not to still understand that and then do what we need to do.
You see, as I said, the politicians still have money. So they spend it on the leaders of this community. When they themselves are short of funds, when they cannot even receive the allowance, and they cannot bribe all these leaders of this, you will see the reaction. You see, the Nigerian society, we like ethnic consideration first to dominate our reaction. If it's my man who is the head of state, we give them loyalty, regardless of what he has done, even to them. Look at the Delta State today. It is to their credit that they had a South-South man in government for 7 years, and it has not changed their way of living. It has not added anything economically. There is no one industry that was built within those 7 years there.
Listening to you, what came to mind to think that Shehu Shagari didn't do 8 years, and you could actually reel out some of those huge projects that they were able to put in place for the nation at that short time that they were in office, and look at some other, even some military government, they were able to put in some huge projects, even the third mainland bridge. And
you're asking,
now this morning,
done by Babangida.
And this morning, you're asking the big question: what is it we've seen since 1999 till
Nothing.
this moment that we'll call huge projects that the people can say this is ours?
Except the National Stadium in Abuja.
The question
Which
now
was
is
built by
this:
Obasanjo.
if you're worried about the young generation, our generation, and even younger ones, that they're not talking. We have some of them in the National Assembly. We also have some of them as governors. Don't forget, we have some young people as governors. Why aren't they also seeing some of this picture and say, wait a minute, these are the issues that we should be talking about in terms of amending the Constitution or giving us a brand new Constitution?
You see, as I said, once something is bad, you cannot amend it. Discard it. and let us sit down and find a solution. Let the people talk. Allow a referendum to be held. Do we want to go back to the parliamentary system where legislators are not full-time legislators?
You seem to like the parliamentary system.
No. I'm just talking about cost.
Oh, good.
I'm talking about cost.
But
also, why I like the parliamentary system is this. Like in South Africa, the president is subject to the National Assembly. Yeah. They can take a vote to impeach him there. They can remove him. In a parliamentary system, every minister is a member of the House. So if he does not do well, there and then they pass a resolution. So it's not all this impeachment that you will go to court, good. No. That is the good side of a parliamentary system. They can curb corruption at its early stage. They can remove you at any time without all this hula-baloo of going into...
But do you think we have the maturity to handle that?
We have been handling it. The best years of Nigeria, from 1954 to 1966, we were running a parliamentary system of governance. The best constitution this country has ever had was the 1963 constitution. And it was a parliamentary constitution. All the developments Awolowo did was, on the parliamentary system of governance. But here, your legislators will ask for constituency allowance, constituency projects, which they will never do. Nobody is accountable. They are not accountable to anybody.
But it does appear now that, because the way it is, politicians will not unilaterally or on their own volition take up something or an amendment that will disadvantage them. In other words, it's up to the people to push for all of this and see that it comes to pass.
The people have no voice in Nigeria today. Let's be honest.
Can't we have a voice?
We can have a voice if people like you start organizing. We don't have a voice. The labor union has no voice. And what's the percentage of workers in Nigeria? Maybe 2 or 3%. No, the Nigeria has no voice. There is no youth. We should now start to think. The youth should now, because if this country collapses, it's they who will suffer most. It's they who will suffer most. We are treading a very dangerous route now with this Avengers going on. If it is not nipped in the bud, bet me, by end of this June, the federal government may not be able to pay salary. Because it's 75% of the former earnings they use in maintaining governance. Now we are earning only about 60% of 100. So where are they going to get the money from?
But then if we now look at some of those specific amendments that the members of the National Assembly say is for good governance, they talk about, for instance, immunity for some of them. They think that, well, they see that the executive and the judiciary enjoy immunity as well as pensions. So they think, why should they be left out? Do they have a point in any of those?
They have no point. Let me be honest, I don't want to use the word that they are naive on the basis of immunity, but they should have gone back and do a homework. Immunity arises because I am going to interact with the public. A governor has immunity because he's going to react, to certain contracts. He's going to ask somebody to be hanged. He's going to do many things with the public. To avoid being disturbed during that period from being challenged in the court of law by any in the third party that he has acted, they give him that immunity so that the people who had suffered from his directives or who have been mistakenly hanged out of, will not sue him. What are the duties of the National Assembly that they're asking for? They're only to make laws. Do they interact with the public? They don't. So why do they want immunity? That's why I said they didn't do their homework well. Immunity does not attach to legislative. And the judges need immunity because they are giving judgments that affects, a third party.
Some of them argue saying, well, immunity could be in terms of civil cases and not in criminal cases, that if any of them have any criminal case, they've got to answer. And others say, take for instance what is going on now with the leadership of the National Assembly. They think that those are attempts to maybe force their arm, as some of the headlines screaming this morning, into doing what they ought not to do.
Look, when it gets to a stage in a country that your legislators are thinking of personal interest rather than national, then something is wrong with that legislature. By saying that they are being threatened, I read in one headline that the federal government wants to, imprison this thing. So they are thinking about themselves. When you, according to the information, when you go and forge a document to get your leader elected in the Senate House, and the document has been found to be a forgery, why are you running away from answering to that? Who is asking, after you? You created a situation. You forged the document and used the document to elect your representatives. That document has been found to be a forged document. You say it's the clerk of the House. But will the clerk on his own initiative do something? So there's a conspiracy. And if you are brought into it, be ready to answer for it. Don't start saying this. And even if immunity is given to Saraki today by any law, he cannot enjoy it because it will not have a retrospective effect.
Doesn't support the argument that it's not just for them, it's for the office and for the future holders.
They don't need it. The office does not need it because they are not interacting with the people. So there's nobody to sue them. You cannot go and sue Saraki for passing a bill now. You can only sue the National Assembly as an institution.
We almost out of time, but how can the people, you say we don't have a voice, we don't have the youth, how then can we make the National Assembly jettison this constitution and go for a brand new constitution?
Look, I have said it. Let the executive, the president, convene a committee of learned people from various aspects of life.
Is it the same as the conference we had?
Not the National Conference. The National Conference was just to amend the 1999 Constitution, Now, the deliberation, they will give them the power. Look at it. Is this 1999 Constitution good for us? If you feel it is good for us, okay. If you feel we need to change it, what type of change? Is it the parliamentary system? Okay. Then when that committee finishes, before it is, inaugurated, Mr. President should first go to the National Assembly with a bill to say, look, give me the power, to which Jonathan did not do on the National Assembly. Give me power to create this committee with a view that whatever they decide, I will pass it for a referendum. Tie the hands of the National Assembly. They will pass that law. Immediately it goes to referendum. It's the voice of the people. The president will just send it back. There's a referendum, they make it into law. So whatever the people say, then we all feel okay. We'll blame ourselves if there is problem. We don't have a mouth in this constitution. We never made it.
Well, Mr. Robert Clarke is a senior advocate of Nigeria and a legal practitioner. We appreciate your comment on this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, then we'll be back in just a moment to have one more perspective to go, so don't go away.